that whole trip, when we look at what happened in the last week or so here in Australia, has been absolutely outstanding. What I thought I'd do is I needed to make sure that we followed that up with some product knowledge. It was very, very important to me that after we'd done the Dr. Paul Clayton tour around Australia, it was important that we now give you the knowledge on the Zenzino products. And there is no other better person than Henrick, the International Product Manager, that has been working with this company for, I'm going to say, many a years, about 7 or 8 years now. He's done his time, he's worked his way through, and literally as the International Product Manager, he's the guy that understands the formulation, where we want to take these products long term, and where we're going to position the product in the marketplace. So, Henrick, I just want to say a big thank you so much for coming on board, taking the time out of your day to day, and just sharing with the people in Australia some great information about the Zenzino product. Thank you so much, Henrick.
Thank you very much for those nice words. And I'm sort of thinking, no pressure, Henrick, no pressure. But yes, thank you very much for having me. And it's a fantastic opportunity to perhaps tell you a little bit more about the basic things about a product. Let me tell you, I've been with the company for 12 years. I am not a doctor. So what happens in the cells and the membranes and everything, we're going to leave that out. And I'm going to try to speak like I do in most other countries in the easy way, in a layman's work. So like we say in Sweden, you talk to lawyers in a lawyer's way and to farmers in a farmer's way. So this is going to be simplified and hopefully therefore most of you can follow. And in a few areas, we'll go a little bit more into depth. And then there will be more Zoom calls in the future and we can talk, discuss and share more information. Just to mention initially, Zenzino, we really try to do it differently. We are the red guy swimming the other way around, whereas the total industry has been swimming for many years to the left and we're swimming to the right. We stand out. And if we'd like to talk about balance oil in a simplified way, and bear with me, some of you are new, maybe some of you are just thinking about joining, some of you are thinking about becoming a customer. But when we look at it, there is one thing I really want you to remember, and that is this: it works. Most other products when it comes to omega-3 don't. And that's it. And if we want to stop here, that's the end of the movie. That's where we are. It works, others don't. And that quite bold words. And let me, for those who haven't stopped listening to me, share you some information that comes from left and right and up and down to see where we are. So we're trying to really make sure we make a world-class product. And we try to talk about something called the balance between the fatty acids in your body. And there are lots of them, but we're focused on omega-6 and omega-3. Those are the ones that are most of the time out of balance, and those are the ones that most authorities recognize do have an importance for your cells and your health and your life. So let me share you something about an organization called Cochrane. They are all over the world. They're also in Australia, and I just pulled out some information from their website. So they looked at omega-3, and they looked at 112,000 people that were participating in 79 different trials performed over some years all over the world. And basically what they concluded was that there is little or no effect of taking omega-3. And that is, of course, a bit irritating, shocking, surprising, or good information. And what's Zenzino's point of view on this? And we say, we agree. This is absolutely the same opinion as we do have within Zenzino and the company Bioactive Food, who were the scientist company where it all started, which is now a daughter company within Zenzino. We absolutely agree. Now, there is another organization in Australia called Blackmore. They read this article and started to comment on it. And they are on the next slide. So they say, hey, Cochrane, we understand that you have this opinion, but basically the dosage was only 1 gram. So of course it doesn't work. And then Cochrane replied, well, 79 trials, and some had 1 gram, some had 2, some had 3, and some had more. So we didn't see much more effect. So Blackmore and Cochrane says it doesn't work, and Blackmore say, well, it's only 1 gram in the daily dosage, so of course it doesn't work. And then Cochrane says, well, even though it's even higher dosages, it doesn't work. And I've written to the left, it says 1 gram at the top and pure fish oil at the bottom, because that was used in these studies. I'm going to come back to that. Just remember, we agree. Let me give you an example. So if you have got a headache and the doctor says you need to take 2 painkiller tablets, but you only take a half a tablet, what kind of effect could you expect? Well, most people would find out it doesn't really have any effect at all. And this is the same situation with the supplements we are talking about today. 1 gram of omega-3 per day do not get you into balance. Cochrane says, Cincino says, Blackmore says, and actually the authorities also say it. And all the persons took 1 gram, and some of them took a little bit more, but most of them took only 1 gram. We, however, claim that if you do take 3 grams, or roughly 3 grams, you do get in balance, and then you see some effects. And the European Food and Safety Admin, called FDA in America, TGA in Australia, EFSA, they are extremely strict, and they actually say, well, if you do take roughly 3 grams of omega-3 per day, that contributes to normal blood pressure. And for those of you who are interested, normal blood pressure or bad blood pressure, that is the difference between the most common heart diseases in the world. So this is extremely important. So there we are. Then going back some years, there was a lady called Simopoulos in Greece. She was the one that started the whole dialogue about balance and all the chronic diseases found in the Western world. This is one of her slides. Basically what it says is that if your balance is like 12 to 1 or 50 to 1 or 75 to 1, that's because you're eating ordinary food or processed food that has no really values for your omega-3 and omega-6 content. It's processed food with lots of omega-6 and no omega-3 and so on. Paul Clayton's been talking about that, I know. And she concluded, as you can see, that you need to come down the list to 3.3 to 1 to have any effect. So she also says, yeah, you need to have a balance, i.e. a high content or higher content of omega-3 in your blood. Otherwise, you will see no effect. And this is more or less what Cochrane and Blackmore also states. They just turn the debate around a little bit. But they say no effect of 1 gram. She says you need to have 3 grams to have an effect. So we all agree. So the need for 3 gram is there. All agree about 3 gram, which gives you 8% omega-3 in the blood. Doubling, tripling, quadrupling the daily dose is not the solution. And this was the beginning of our daughter company, Bioactive Food, where Ola Eide, Professor Risso, Burrows, Simopoulos, and the other ones were involved. I mean, if we have an omega-3 product and it doesn't get you into balance, why not just double, triple, quadruple the dosage? That's easy, simple, and very cheap. But they found out it doesn't help. When you try to double and triple your normal omega-3 supplement, your body reacts negatively and you do not get into balance. Those who are interested can read more about oxidative stress and oxidation that happens in cell levels when you try to increase, and it doesn't work. So that's the simple way of saying it doesn't help. And we've got tons of people who have taken double or triple dosage in various countries, send in the balance test, and they say, man, it doesn't work. No, that's what we said. So take our word for it. But anyone who wants to test, feel free. So what was the solution? And now we come to the super duper secret that we actually tell everybody about. It's the world's simplest secret, and it works. Basically, you add olive oil with lots of polyphenols, and then you can have a 3 gram dosage, and that will get you into a balance of 3-1 or lower. Farmed fish today do not contain roughly 50% of the omegas like wild caught fish. This is what most of us eat if we eat fatty fish at all. We have bad balances, 15-1 or 25-1. Pure fish oil, you can only dose 1 gram, which gives you high scores also. But if you add olive oil with lots of antioxidants, which is the better word for polyphenols, the more common word, then you do get imbalance. And that is the magic. And when it comes to making it, all you need is a factory that can blend the products properly. You cannot blend it in your own mouth or in your mixer at home. You need to blend it. But there is no magic, meaning that we take olive oil, fish oil, and vitamin and then change it in some kind of reaction with something else in a factory and it comes out as super duper special product. This is simply a blended product and it works. And we have roughly 350,000 blood tests that shows that. It's the world's largest database of fatty acids. Now the extra virgin olive oil we have, it has a high content of omega-9 and the antioxidants need to be above 400 milligram per kilo. Most of the ones that I would buy in a supermarket contain something like 25 to 50 milligrams per kilo. And then you can measure antioxidants in various ways and different kinds of antioxidants. And if we would include all the ones that you can find, we're up like to 700 milligrams. But the most important ones are around 400. So it's really, really a special extra virgin olive oil. And what the olive oil and the antioxidant do is that they protect the fish and olive oil as such in the bottle, which means it doesn't go rancid. We open bottles that are 3, 4, 5 years old. You can still drink them, nothing happens. The flavoring goes down after 4 or 5 years. So therefore we put 3 years on our bottles. Otherwise it would taste a little bit too much fish, but it's still not rancid after 5 years in a bottle. It also protects the omegas all the way in your body to the cells. And it protects the omegas when it goes into your cell membrane and protects the cells. So you actually can have a dosage that is high enough as your body weight requires. So I would take 12 milliliters and somebody in America would take 24 and a biggie one would take 36. And that's okay. Your body do not react negatively and say, no, thank you. Instead it says, yes, please, thank you, very nice. And you do get imbalance. So therefore it's so simple, 0.15 milliliter per kilo body weight, and it works for everybody. Very simple. And we have all the certifications and analysis of everything to show what we have and how it is certified by various organizations. So it's quite easy. So this was the story of the product. Wow, how can it be so unique and so on? Let me also fill you in on the second product, which is called AquaX. This one came around because some people have problems with taking medicine. And an Australian company called Pharmaco, they came up with an ingredient that makes it easier for especially young children who have cancer to take all their medicines without having problems. It also increases the absorption of the medicines. So Paul Clayton came in contact with these guys and they said, yes, you can have the Aquacell from Australia. We blend that with a balance oil and we have our product called AquaX. Very, very simple. The Aquacell is an emulsifier, making the oil come into tiny, tiny droplets. So it disappears more or less when blended with water. Aquacell is just natural oils and esters. So it's a natural ingredient that we add, so nothing special. However, if you look on an AquaX bottle, you will see that it's almost like a honey inside. So you need to shake it really, really properly every time you're going to use it. And then you blend it like 10, 15 milliliters in a 1 or 2 deciliter glass of water. You stir well and you drink it. It will look like milk. more or less all the oil will disappear. There will be a few drops on the top of the glass, but when you drink it, most of the flavor, most of the oily experience you would have otherwise will disappear. And this is an easy way for those who say, I cannot take oil in my mouth, I cannot take olive oil, I cannot for sure take fish oil. Well, this is an easy way of getting around that problem. So there we are, also a very, very simple product, and we tell the whole world about it. This is our secret. Now, we decided with Bioactive Food to make our product more complicated and more expensive by doing this, because we want it to work. 99% of the community out there in various countries, they supply a pure fish oil that doesn't work, and they don't have a test to prove it either. And they sell tons of bottles every year. And it's a cheap product and it doesn't work. And until we get big enough, they're not going to change it. So there we are with the competition. So if we summarize a little bit, you could say that our balance in oil, they contain omega-3, omega-6, omega-7, omega-9. And they contain the antioxidants that is found in the olive oil, the polyphenols. This makes our product be similar to a salmon or other fat fish. And a salmon, if you eat that, contains a lot of fatty acids. It contains vitamin D, it contains minerals, and so on, and the antioxidants, of course. So you can eat a lot of fish without your body reacting negatively, and you will get in balance. But you need to eat a wild caught and a lot of it. That's one option. Or you can have our product, and that's an easy option. Both works. However, a purified fish oil, where you only extracted the omegas and left all the other things behind in the fish, then I'm sorry, it simply doesn't work. So, pointed out very bluntly, we do not sell an omega-3 oil. Never, ever, ever use that. We have a balance oil, fish and olive oil in a blend with all the omegas. And you can see also I have the omega-6 in there. So you do get omega-6 when you take our product. Omega-6 is very important. In fact, all the fatty acids have beneficial properties. Don't ever, ever confuse and compare us with other purified fish oils. They are not like the fish, and they are not like us. We are like the fish. And that's why it works with the fish and it works with our product. Very simple. So let me also very, very quickly mention inflammation, but it comes up as something bad. But make one small statement. Without inflammation in our bodies, we would actually die. So inflammation is something very, very good. However, inflammation should be there, acute, if you get a cold, if you get a flu, if you get cancer or whatever, the body reacts immediately and kills all the pathogens and so on. That's very good. And that's where the omega-6s comes in. They are very good in activating the acute inflammatory response system. However, the omega-3s, they are the firefighters that needs to put out the fire. And if there is sort of 25 pyromans and one firefighter, it's going to be a chronic fire in the woods, and it's going to be a chronic fire in your body. And that's when the silly things are happening. And WHO and other organizations, they've recognized that in the imbalance, that is what causes chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is one of the causes for chronic diseases. So we'd like to avoid that. Let me also show another scientific study that was done that shows that guys like me who are 58, we are in the yellow zone. We are not too bad, but all the youngsters today that are eating processed and super processed food, drinking Coca-Cola and all those things all the time, they are the ones that are in the risk group. I want to add a good life to my coming years, but the youngsters, the middle agers, you really need to watch out. Because if I would have a problem, for example, like a heart attack, that is not because what happened last week. That is because what happened my last sort of 30 years or whatever. So there we are with the inflammation. That is good and it's needed, but we don't want to have it chronic. That's the easy way. Let me also point out another thing that is interesting. We're talking about the cells and the cell membrane and that the omegas need to be there, right? The red blood cells, they only live for 120 days. They reflect my diet today. So whatever I'm eating today, it means they will have that in their cell membranes and so on. So if I eat omega-3 today, there will be omega-3 in my cells. If I don't eat it tomorrow, there will not be any tomorrow. That's simple. That also means that in 120 days, if I do take the supplement every single day, by 120 days, all my blood cells have been changed, replaced. And all the new ones will have omegas. And that's why we can take an after test after 120 days and see how it works. So, and if you take too little, or if you eat maybe only 5 days a week or 3 days a week, there you are with the result after 120 days. You will not have the same good results. Importantly also is that if you do say, I'm going to take this for 4 months and see what happens, and then I'm going to stop, then I really think you're wasting your money, because after another 120 days, all your new blood cells will be back where you started. You will have blood cells with omegas, then you stop taking the product, and then coming 120 days, there will be omegas born without omega-3. So yeah, that is a waste. So if we summarize that in a simple way, you need to have roughly 3 grams of omega-3 per day. But it only works if combined with an olive oil. That's when you can take the dosage that you need, and you will have a balance of 3-to-1 after 120 days or so. Some people take maybe a month later, some people a little bit quicker. And the health benefits, I mean, the European Food and Safety and TGA, they recognize that. Simopoulos and the other professors, they recognize that. Cochrane and so on, they also say you need to have a balance to have effect. And it's not a cure, it is for life. And let me just point out a small example. If I go back to 2012 when we started, I had hay fever, I had cat allergy, I was training Chinese martial art, I had pain in my joints, and I got bruised all the time. And I usually ask the audience, do you think what happened when I got in balance? And they start guessing. And I just say, nothing happened. And then I've been in balance since then, and I kept up my training and being out doing sports in the grass and the woods and so on. And how do you think my situation is today when having been in balance for such a long time? And everybody asks, and I say, you know what? Nothing has happened. I still got my allergy. I still have this and that and so on. But the good thing is I'm 58. And when I look at all my friends and relatives around me, similar age groups, things are happening to them that are bad, and nothing happens to me. So actually, being in balance, I have minimized the risk of getting other problems, and therefore I'm looking forward to having good life the coming years instead of getting different kinds of problems. Some of you will experience your eczema is going away, your hay fever is going away, your pain in your joints are going away. Congratulations. It does not happen for everybody, not for me, but I'm good and I want to make sure I live a good life even longer. So, having said that, let me also talk very briefly about our vegan oil. And it's not going to be super duper scientific again, because it is very simple. The fish eat algae, and when it eats algae, it will have the omegas into their bodies. And that's why farmed fish do not contain very much of the omegas. They eat pellets and fish meal and it's crazy stuff. We need that. But when we looked at the algae oil, we recognized that during various tests, it didn't matter what kind of algae we took, you do not get into balance. Then we looked at other companies. They were adding flaxseed and linseed and trying to make a vegetarian and so on. Didn't really work. We didn't get any good results at all. And just to make it very, very simple, We took algae oil, we took our normal olive oil, we found the echium seed oil, and then we found you can actually have vegan vitamin D that comes from lichen, the moss you find on stone and tree. And when you add all those things together, you do get imbalance. And that's very simple. And again, these are ingredients that are mixed, blended in a factory, but no process of changing the ingredients into something new. It's a factory blend. That's all. We end up with a unique fatty acid content and profile. Nobody else has it. And I've written EPA, DHA, ALA, GLA, and it's like the various fatty acids. And of course, the polyphenols, the antioxidants, and a vegan vitamin D3. And it works. It gets you into balance. Now, if you would look on the label, you would find that the EPA and DHA versus the normal balance oil is higher and lower the opposite way, like the balance oil. So it's not a matter of saying this company or that company has a higher or lower content of EPA or DHA, the omegas. It's the combination that is important. So when the balance oil, vegan oil, comes into your body and have a lower content of one and a higher content of the other, it's the absorption into your body and how it's converted that matters. And I've been on both products. I was on the vegan oil for 1 year. My results were fantastic, 1.8 to 1. And I'm back now at the balance oil, orange lemon mint, and my scores are roughly the same. So it both works fantastically. So where does the algae come from? Do we fish it out in the sea? No, not at all. It comes from super factories in America. Tubes with filtrated water, so they checked for heavy metals and toxins, so they know everything about them. And they feed algae inside, and then you flush it inside the tube while there is sun that is shining on it. TGA, which is called FDA in America, they have checked the facilities out with the factory, and it's under supervision and control all the time. And this is where the algae are made. And then in a water filtration system, almost like when washing your clothes, you have you start spinning the clothes to get all the water out. A similar process is used to get the oil out of the algae, like a washing machine. I'm losing the English word, centrifugal force or something like that. So by spinning it, you get the oil out. No chemicals, it's a water process. So that's easy. And then we just mix it with all the other ones. So it's a patented combination that only we have. We patent it all over the world. It comes country by country all the time. So it's Japan, it's China, it's Australia, it's America, all countries in Europe, in Africa, and so on. We really want to have it for ourselves. So, in short, patented mix, algae oil, olive oil, echium oils. Good fatty acid profile. When converted in your body, it works. So, the main USP for our product versus all the other omegas you will find, first of all, it works. We don't have an omega product. We have a balanced product with fish oil and the olive oil, or algae oil and the olive oil. And that sets us apart, and that makes it work. Very, very simple. I also wanted to share a few words about the test in a very simple way. So we have our test site where you can register, and we have roughly today 350,000 tests, as I mentioned before. Now, how does it work and in a simplified way? Well, let me just point out, this kind of dry blood spot test is not a Cincino special test. Big pharmaceutical companies like BASF are using it, hospitals, laboratories, lots of companies and organizations are using it. And it's nothing new, it's been going on for lots of years, all over the world. So it's something you can trust, and it's been proven in scientific studies to be just as good as if you had a venous blood sample taken from your arm. So it's how can I put it, scientifically proven. Now, if we talk about the Vitas laboratory, this is just a picture they share with us, and you can see Nicomed, Pronova, Clariant, Schlumberger, and so on, all these pharmaceutical companies that are also using them, and we are, and I would say we are probably something like 30% of all the dry blood samples they are analyzing every year. So there is potential for increasing, and for sure they are totally independent of us. Now, just run you quickly through what happens. It's an enormous chain. You take a sample, you send it into the office in Australia, or sends it onwards to Vitas. They have only your test code, and then you have your sample, and they punch out a circle and put it into a gas chromatograph, which is, you don't need to know more about, but it's a computer that analyzes. And then they make a computer file, an IT file, with your code and only the numbers. So it says ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then you get a long row of numbers. That is sent to a company called Decode. They receive the file, and if you have registered on the website, Ensino website, they will be the connection between Vitas and the website. And then they can do the calculations and then present the information on the Ensino website. So there is no point asking Vitas about this and that. They only know a code and they only analyze. And Decode, they don't know anything about the analysis. They just get a code and a lot of numbers. And then they do the calculations according to our setup. So it's a chain where nobody knows anything about what the other ones are doing. Let me point out also, when you do take the test, there are some important things. Hand cream is really, really bad for blood samples. Actually, if you would have hand creams on your hands and you would touch the filter paper without any blood and send it in for analysis, there would be a reaction and the result would come out as a value. So that disturbs the values. Hence, wash your hands in warm water first. Then you use the alcoholic swab and clean your finger. Once you get, you prick your finger and you have blood, do not touch the paper. Just only the drop, not the finger. Then you've done what you can to make sure that there is nothing bad happening to your blood samples. All right? Once you come into the website, you will see a lot of things. And there's too much information according to my opinion. So let's make it simple. You will first see your balance. And it says perhaps 3-1 or 4-1 or 10-1 or whatever you have. Then I would click on more results. Skip whatever on the first page. Go to more results, and the first thing you check for is the omega-3 level. It is supposed to be above 8%. So if you only want to know one thing, just check for the 8%. This one has 4.4, i.e. it's yellow, but it's not green, and you need to come up to 8%, preferably 9%. All the other values will be perfect if you just reach that. You could also check the balance, since we are talking about it anyway, but the balance can never ever be good if not the omega-3 content is good. And your protection cannot be above 90% if your omega-3 content is not above 8%. So there is no point arguing about all the other values and looking at this and that and so on. You just need to increase your daily dosage of omega-3 in a safe way that works. One thing that I would urge you to check for is what I've written, check for the balance, because that is your omega-6s. Sorry, it's been jumping a little bit. It's actually, so something happened on my presentation. So the AA, the arachidonic acid formation efficiency, should be above 30% and a green, and it's 57.1 in my slide. If that one is red, that means you have too little omega-6 in your blood, and therefore you could have a false balance. So if you think the balance is like a springboard, you put a child and an adult, and you tell the child to grow because she represents omega-6, so that the balance will be better. But if then I am on diet, being the adult, and I lose 25 kilos, the balance will be better even though the child, the omega-3, has not increased. So AA efficiency, just check so it's green. If it's red, then you will have a false balance. And that's why I'm saying all the time, omega-3 above 8%. So final picture, scientific blood test method, it's anonymous. Check for above 8% and then you're okay. There we are. That was my short presentation, hopefully in a layman's word, so it can be understood by everybody and it could be repeated by everybody.
Fantastic, Henrick. And again, thank you so much, my friend. Listen, could I ask you a big favor? Next Monday night, we have a Zoom call as well. And every Monday and Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Sydney time. What I'd like to do is, would you come back next Monday for us and do the serum? I know that you have some slide deck on the serum. I know it's an important part of our product lineup. Would you be so kind to come back next Monday night?
Absolutely. I'm here for you more times also. I mean, if you want to do questions and answers in a couple of months or weeks or days or whatever, I'm here for you. That's my job.
Great. Well, let's do that. Let's get you back next Monday, and then I would like to do that. I'd like to do in the next week or so where we just do a question and answer, guys. We get on and we get everybody on the screen and we do a questions and answer. It won't be recorded, obviously, because some things will be, requested that we can't record and put up. But at least it'll be an open panel where we can talk openly about the questions that you have. So, guys, let's say thank you so much again, Henrick, for your time tonight. Fantastic presentation. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday night, okay, on the call at 8 p.m. Sydney time, same channel, globalzoomcall.com. Appreciate you, Henrick, and thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. All the best.
Ciao.